Joanna Macy, the noted environmental activist, author, and scholar of Buddhism and deep ecology, writes, "If the world is to be healed through human efforts, I am convinced it will be done by ordinary people, people whose love for this life is even greater than their fear." I shared this story a few years ago. As we always do year after year, a group of church members and friends were again marching in Fresno's annual Dr. Martin Luther King Day parade and rally. Our church banner was proudly carried by young and old and in between. During the speeches in front of City Hall, I noticed a teenage boy and his mom walking toward us, looking at our church banner that says, "All are welcome." As they passed us, I heard that teenage boy ask his mom, "What church is that?" The mom didn't hesitate as she replied, "Those are the love people." Those are the love people. Can you say that with me? Those are the love people. We are the love people, or at least we aspire to be. We aspire to be loving forward, changing lives. Now, not in the Hallmark card-esque sense of the word, not love in the Valentine's Day, sugary, cuddly with a teddy bear kind of way. Not love as a feeling, but love as a choice we make. Love as an action we take. There are two different complementary ways to think about love. The first way stands in stark contrast to the way many people have been acting lately, especially some in the political arena. I won't say who. I don't have to. This comes from the Christian scriptures. Love is patient and kind. Love is never envious or boastful or conceited, does not act rudely or selfishly. Love is not easily angered, does not count up offenses, takes no pleasure in injustice, but rejoices in the truth. The truth. Love includes all things, has faith in all things, hopes for all things, endures all things. Love never ends. The other description of love comes from Unitarian Universalist minister, the Reverend Julie Taylor, who writes, "Love looks different in the face of injustice. It is then that love is resistant. Love is defiant. It is not backing down. It is staying in the streets. Love is holding each other and ourselves accountable. Love is challenging because none of us are free until all of us are free. Love is protest. Protest is love." This is not a passive love. This is a tough and justice-seeking love. I think that we try to embody both types of love here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno. I received an email several months ago. That person has given me permission to share it today. They said, "Dear Tim, I don't know if you remember me, but I came to your church about a year ago. I had read that Fresno was one of the more affordable cities in California, but that wasn't the case. Within a short time, I was living in my car, even while I was working full-time and taking classes at Fresno City College. I felt so unsafe living in my car, but I had no other choice. A professor told me about your church and said it might be a place where I could feel safe, at least for an hour or two on Sunday morning. As a mixed race, neurodiverse, and queer identifying person, not many places in Fresno felt safe, so I reluctantly decided to check you out. Right away, you signaled that I was welcome. The Black Lives Matter banners on Alluvial Avenue told me you cared about racial justice and about me as a person of color. The front walkway had a brass plaque proclaiming love is the doctrine of this church, not judgment, love. Pride flags were mounted outside on the front of your sanctuary, and there was Planned Parenthood pink in the lobby. How awesome was that? But once inside the building, I freaked out. There were so many white people. There were so many old white people. Not a lot of people looked like me. And as a person of color, that usually means I'm going to be uncomfortable and wary. But then you started talking about an inclusive love that holds everyone. You said, I could rest in this love. I could rest in this love. Your words were kind. You also were really angry about all that anti-abortion bills being passed across the country. And then at the end of the service, still a little angry, you invited everyone to go on Thursday to Fresno City Hall for a protest rally demanding more affordable housing in the city. Your church was kind and defiant at the same time. I kept coming back, and soon I felt like UU Fresno was my spiritual safe place, complete with a bunch of surrogate grandparents. Make that surrogate great grandparents. Seriously, there were kids and families there too, and even a couple of folks who had as many tattoos as I did. I'm no longer in Fresno. It was too expensive to stay. But your church made a difference while I was there. Tender and tough, compassionate and justice-seeking, loving forward, changing lives. As we've heard today, this is the kickoff of our annual pledge drive. This is that sacred time when members, friends, and first-time financial supporters of this church ensure that for another year we the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno continues to thrive as a beacon of progressive religious values in the Central Valley. Loving forward and changing lives compels us to talk about money. But today isn't about money. It is about something larger, our congregation's mission to love forward and change lives. It takes money to do this. A church can't sustain itself on good intentions. It needs our contributions. We ask each other to pledge what we can for the next fiscal year, which begins on July 1st. From the total of those budgets, we finalize the total of those pledges. We finalize a budget to sustain our spiritual community for another year. What we collectively can give is what we can collectively spend. What funding from us is required for us to love forward and change lives for another year? According to our draft budget, we need the financial support that amounts to $592,040. Don't ask me how we got the $40 in there. So, what does your pledge do? For a year of Sunday morning services, we need $184,000 to cover staff, equipment, and supplies so that we can broadcast our Sunday service live from our sanctuary onto our online campus. If, for the first time in 4 years, we want to have our operating budget cover the total cost of our full-time director of lifelong learning, we need $67,000. For the last few years, an anonymous donor has partially covered that cost. Now, it's up to us to absorb it. How many of you, by show of hands, are uplifted by the music each Sunday? For that alone, we need almost $70,000. Do you like the beauty and serenity of our church campus? We need $28,000 a year to maintain our church grounds. Lights, air conditioning, water, and other utilities require over $51,000. Could you imagine this place in the summer without AC? Now, if we take and divide our entire draft budget and divide it between the number of pledging members and friends, the average cost per member is about $3,312. Now, many people give much more because they have the ability to do so. A few of us pledge tens of thousands of dollars. Others of us pledge in the $5,000 to $12,000 range. Others in the several $1,000 range. Others pledge several $100s. There's some who pledge so generously at $1 a week for a total of $52 a year because they want to support their church even as they struggle to make it through the week. And there are those of us who just can't spare anything right now, nothing, but who, if schedule permits, try to find ways to give of their time. And some of us just need to be here and do nothing but be nurtured. Be a sponge that just sucks up all this energy, sucks up all this love, and that is totally fine with us. We're just glad you're here. So let me be clear, everyone is welcome at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno, no matter our financial circumstances. There is no charge to be a member or friend. Those who have more pledge more for those of us whose financial situation is tighter. That's what it means to be a congregation that is loving forward and changing lives. Now, I don't ask anything of you that I won't do myself. Last year, I pledged over 6% of my pre-tax salary right back to you for a total of $6,909. This year, the Pledge Drive team is asking those of us who are currently pledging to, if it's possible, increase our pledge by 2%. Or more if we can. So this year, I am increasing my pledge by 5% to add a little extra for someone who can't increase theirs. To you, to us, to the members, friends, and our new financial supporters of our church, I pledge $7,209. Now, as I said last year, sharing in a church community is different than giving to charity. It's different than writing a check to, say, Planned Parenthood, the ACLU, or Citizens Climate Lobby. Those contributions are all essential, but this church is different from charities and social change organizations. This church, as I said last year, is a place we come to when the cares and worries of our life seem just way too much for us. This church is where we come to recharge our weary spirits. This church is the place we come to weep, and the place we come when we need to laugh and then sing again. This is the place we come when we feel overwhelmed by the headlines, and who here doesn't feel overwhelmed by the headlines? This church is the place we come to let go of dogma and damnation. This church is the place we come to be recalled to our best selves again. This is where we come to create good trouble. This is the place that invites us every week to breathe in peace and breathe out love. This is the place that is small enough to want to know you by name, and this place is big enough to hold all of our doubts, all of our questions, and all of our ever-changing and growing answers. This is the place we come to find God, or Spirit, or Source, or our humanity. This is the place we come to be reminded that we are good and that we are loved. This is the place we come to be challenged to take our love and share it with the world. This is the place, our church, that is loving forward and changing lives. Why do I give? Why do you give? Why do we give? We pledge our financial support to this Unitarian Universalist Church because, in the words of Roy Phillips, our church stands against intolerance and fear. We support our church because it is open to people of every race, religion, cultural origin, disability, neurodiversity, creed, color, sexual orientation, gender identity, income level, and documentation status. We support this church because children can come here without being saddled by guilt, where they can learn that religion should be for joy and for love and for life, We pledge our financial support because this is a place where walls between people are torn down, not built up. Because here, in this place, we call no one a sinner. But we're not stupid. We know how deep is the struggle and how great is the hunger for what is good. We pledge our financial support because this is the place that helps us be kind and defiant, because it helps us be tough and tender, compassionate and justice-seeking. We pledge our financial support because we want to keep loving forward and changing lives. We want to keep loving forward and changing lives. Will you say that with me? We want to keep loving forward and changing lives. One more time. We want to keep loving forward and changing lives. That sounds so good. Let's do it one more time. We want to keep loving forward and changing lives. Let's rise now in body or spirit and let us sing All We Need.